I can't guarantee it, but.
All right, Sheila, can you hear us?
I can.
All right, thank you. We're muted though. All right. The time is 7:02 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. May we have roll call, please?
Mayor Reichel,
Here?
Pro Tem Hanrahan,
Here.
Trustee Brittenell,
Here.
Trustee Klassen,
Here.
Trustee Engelhardt,
Here.
Trustee Poston,
Here.
Trustee Seifert.
Here.
May we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, be seated. The first item on tonight's agenda is public comments. Persons desiring to make a public comment on items not on the agenda, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to non-agenda items?
No, I did not hear from anyone today.
The sign-in sheet is empty. I'll give this to Jim.
I do not show any raised hands.
All right, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda then is the consent agenda, which contains the minutes of the July 22nd, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting. Anyone like to discuss that or make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Trustee Seifert to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Trustee Clausen. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do any board members have any conflicts of interest with agenda items tonight?
No, sir.
Nope.
I have none either. Any agenda changes by staff or the board?
Nope.
No, sir.
Okay. Next up then is the water plant construction update with Dan Gleb, with Garney Construction. Hit us with the good news.
Thank you. Dan Galvin with Garney Construction for this month's update on the Silt water treatment plant. Health and safety, we continue with the safe site, no incidents to date out at the plant. Plant staff and visitors continue with wearing proper PPE, and that's very much appreciated. Good visibility on site as we've had an uptick in deliveries as well. With that, controlled entry, monitoring traffic in and out, and doing well there. Mentioned last month and continuing now, hot weather awareness, and then also we keep an eye out for lightning strikes and then bring the work crew in if they get close enough. Construction progress, dewatering has been reduced as we continue with our backfill operations and get up out of the ground. And probably by this time next month, we'll cease that operation. As mentioned, we continue with our backfill. We got to an elevation that allows us to continue with formwork, rebar and concrete for the building foundation. And that continues now. And then this week we're starting some underslab and yard piping installation in the area, and some of that will be welded pipe. So that'll continue over the next couple weeks along with the formwork and concrete. To report on schedule, we're holding our schedule, which has shown some improvement with recent news and updates on equipment procurement. Some of those times have been shortened, which has helped the schedule. And the progress looking forward with additional procurement is kind of on the same track. We're getting more good news on that front, and that's appreciated and helping maintain that schedule. Budget, I apologize, I did not include the contingency log with this month's update, but there were no changes on the paper there with that. But as I mentioned, as the dewatering wraps up, there'll be cost savings from dewatering that will come back to the contingency. And then with the backfill operation, some of the dollars that we've been holding on contingency log will go towards that operation as well. And then billing to date, 2.8, almost 3 million billed to date for work in progress. And with that, I'm glad to open it up to questions. A couple pictures on the, apologize there, a couple pictures. Last month, we were just getting going with the deep foundations. As we mentioned, now we got some of the walls for the tanks going up, the backfill, and then the continued building foundation.
Just a quick question on number 4. It says you changed selected. Was there a reason? Was it a better product, or what was the reason for changing, I guess?
There were 2 vendors that the town was looking at, and this one happened to be a preferred vendor with the town and the operators.
Okay.
Any other questions? And we're all permitted from the state. They said we're good to go?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, all that's progressing fine.
okay. All right. Is there anything at any other level of the state that we're waiting on, or is everything?
No, not with the water plant.
Oh, the water plant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
We are waiting on a discharge permit for the water plant. We applied for it a long time ago. They're revising the general permit. We reached out to them. They said sometime in 2025 we'll see it back. This is just for water discharging to the pond out there, which then overflows from the pond and eventually possibly could make it to the Colorado River. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, that discharge permit has been a source of, or a bone of contention for some time, and it hasn't been updated in an excessive amount of time.
correct. And the last renewal, which happened, I don't know, but 10-something years ago.
Yeah.
Was just done in a weird way, so we're trying to update it for the new plant, so that
Okay.
we don't have issues with it, but, so far, no concerns there, just, we've been told we have to wait until they get the general permit, which it falls under updated before they'll reissue, so.
Okay. All right.
All right, but we're not currently in violation?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
No, this is just getting it updated, still operating under the old one since they haven't issued a new one.
Has the building hit the ground, or is it on its way, or where are we at with that?
It's on its way, first part of September.
So that's on, so we're looking good on that then, so.
Yeah, the skeleton will show up then, and then the wall panels, insulated wall panels, will be a little bit behind that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
That's all I had.
Joe, do you have anything to add, or?
No, they're doing a great job out there.
Okay.
Well, I see, now I drive down the interstate, I see it above the ground, I see a
Right.
rebar sticking up and safety railing on there, so.
All right. Well, thank you for the update.
Yep.
With the holiday next month, no change. The 20 or as far as our next update, 'cause that's the first Monday, so the second Monday remains open.
Correct.
Yeah, second Monday's still the same. Yeah.
Great.
The 9th, yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Yep. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, next up, we have resolution number 27, series 2024. A resolution of the Board of Trustees approving a reimbursement agreement with Main Street Plaza and executing a change order to the West Home Avenue project for the town of Silt, Colorado. Turns over to manager.
All right. I did provide you an updated copy on your desks. This change order has come about because the Main Street Plaza, which is in the development process, they are not developing yet, but they're in the approval process, requested some underground work be completed, or needed to have some underground work completed to do their project. They were not going to be ready to do that work until after we were done with the Home Avenue project, which would do exactly what everybody hates, is that when a municipality paves a road, somebody comes in and cuts a hole in it. And so we worked out an arrangement with Main Street Plaza LLC to undertake the underground work, and got a change order executed, or in the process of being executed, as long as you approve it, with Frontier Paving to go ahead and do the work. We'll then have a reimbursement agreement with Main Street Plaza LLC, which they will pay us back all the funds that we're advancing. So think of this as an investment. And just so we can get the work done as we're doing the Home Avenue project. And we have the updated numbers for the project itself. Frontier came back and made a slight amendment. The amount is $76,123 for the change order, and we estimate about $2,500 of engineering and administrative expense. So the reimbursement will be approximately $78,523. And we did amend the resolution because we had this change. We originally had a not-to-exceed dollar amount in there. We've removed the not-to-exceed and included approximate, because this is a fluid, and the reimbursement agreement, which Attorney Bond can talk about a little bit more, contemplates that there may be additional costs. So we wanted to generalize the resolution or the approval a little bit more. So with that, if the board is in concurrence, adopt the resolution, which then adopts or authorizes us to execute the change order as well as enter into the reimbursement agreement. And Attorney Bond can talk a little bit more about the reimbursement agreement if you so desire.
Yeah, I think you mostly covered the points of it. We have sent the final form of this reimbursement agreement to the developer, Main Street Plaza LLC. They've agreed to the terms, but they haven't signed it yet. I spoke to their attorney, and we believe that's imminent, and this will go forward. It provides a nice investment for the town in the infrastructure with interest. And there is penalty interest at 18% if they haven't paid it back by August 1st of 2026. I'm sorry, September 1st of 2026. So they must repay the amounts before they get final plat approval, before the town would authorize any building permits. And then if they don't pay it back by that 2-year time frame, then we are going to charge a higher interest rate. Obviously, that could change if they come before the board and ask for something else, and you grant that for whatever reasons might occur. But that's how it's written at this time. And it also mandates that they repay the amounts before the property is sold. So we feel that the town's very protected and will be repaid in full, plus interest.
So, I mean, really, there really is no other option, is there? I mean, it's pretty much about the only option we can do anyhow, right?
We could not do the work, and we could not do the reimbursement agreement.
Right, I mean, that's,
But Main Street Plaza LLC would be cutting into our brand-new road
right.
a year from
That's what
now.
I'm saying, that's about the only object, and
Right.
our
Right.
other option we have, and we don't want that,
And,
so.
we're, I think from staff's perspective, we would much prefer to do it this way, simply because we don't want to be in a position where we're cutting a brand-new road, if we can avoid it.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win, is how it's been billed to me from staff and from the developer, because you don't want the disruptions of redoing the street 18 months from now or 12 months from now.
Yeah.
And it's a cost savings for the developer as well.
Okay.
And that town earns, what, 6 1/4?
6 1/4.
Yep.
And if the developer goes bankrupt?
We have a lien on the property.
Okay.
And Frontier's a vendor in good standing. We don't have any recent experiences with them where
Nope.
roads that were repaired came up with holes.
They're our general contractor on the Home Avenue project, and to date, they've been doing a great job. And so we have not had any issues with them previously, and we do not anticipate that we will in this project.
What work are they doing?
They're doing the home project.
I mean, for the developer.
They're doing the water lines and the sewer line
Water
and
and
the
sewer.
irrigation line.
Okay.
They're putting
All
that
right.
into the property.
Okay.
On these projects, are we putting, I know the board discussed on and off different conduits for IT and all this other stuff. Is there any of that included? Are we doing any of that on this project?
Yes, we have. At each alley easement, we put 2 4-inch conduits for electrical, phone, and internet at each alley. So we have approximately 600 feet of conduits under the road. On the south side, we can put all that
Good.
electric underground someday.
I know we've discussed it about every time, so I was just asking, making sure
Dig,
it's there.
dig once.
Yeah. Yeah. And years ago, didn't they do something with the sewer? Didn't they do a tap or something? Or does that... Because I thought years ago they had to cut that road to put like a 6-inch sewer
I think
tap.
they did a 4-inch tap.
Okay, so that would be
Not
too
big
small.
enough for what they need.
Okay, all right.
So we'll do the new tap right in that same area.
Uh-huh.
So that way we will not have a abandoned tap on our sewer line.
Oh, okay, all right. And I guess, are there any other properties along there that need to replace anything while we're doing this?
No, the only property to the west would be Highway Feed, and
Uh-huh.
they'll be able to be fed water and sewer off of the end of Dogwood.
Oh, okay, all right. And then that new home being constructed on, that's already
That's already has
tied in?
everything.
Okay. All right, thank you.
How far onto this property will the utilities get stubbed?
They'll be onto their property, so when they do connect, there should be no damage to our road
To the
or
road.
in our easement.
Okay. All right.
And before you continue, I just want to bring up one minor point. On the draft resolution here, at the bottom of the first page, number 3, it says approved in the amount of $76,000. That should just be amended to state approximate amount of $76,000. It's a time and materials amendment to the Frontier paving contract, so it could be less than that, it could be more than that. But the developer is responsible for the full amount.
Whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. The town has an obligation under the reimbursement agreement to come back to the developer within 30 days with the final number there. So we'll have a final number, we just don't know it today.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay.
Well, it just popped to my mind. Have they paid any tap fees, or is that at a later date?
The Main Street
Main
Plaza?
Street Plaza.
They'll pay at the time of permitting.
Okay,
So they just don't have their construction loan yet. That's why
Uh-huh.
we're having to do this agreement with them.
okay.
But yeah,
Gotcha.
that'll all be part of their construction loan.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I haven't done one yet. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the resolution of the Board of Trustees approving a reimbursement agreement with the Main Street Plaza and executing a change order to the West Home Avenue project for the town of Silt, Colorado.
Second.
Point of order with the language change that it's the approximate amount of 76,000 on the last paragraph.
With that change, yes,
Okay.
as stated by the mayor.
All right.
Second.
Okay. Motion by trustee Engelhardt to approve resolution number 27, series 2024. A resolution of the Board of Trustees approving a reimbursement agreement with Main Street Plaza and executing a change order to the West Home Avenue project for the town of Silt, Colorado, with the change language to add approximate to the third paragraph, approximately $76,123. That was seconded by trustee Britnall. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Next up is resolution number 28, series 2024. A resolution of the Board of Trustees approving an agreement for professional services with Eco Northwest for the town of Silt, Colorado. Turn us back over to Manager Mann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize, under our procedure, I had this originally under the consent agenda, and then we chose to pull it back out, thinking there may have been a little bit more discussion that carried through. But as you recall, we issued a request for qualifications to undertake our housing needs assessment, that we had received a grant to partially fund. We have put that proposal or request out there. We received 5 qualified bids in return. The proposals themselves were reviewed by myself, Director Centeno, and our consultant with Sustainable Strategies, Deborah Figueroa. We all 3 concluded that Eco Northwest, the proposal that we had received from them, was the most responsive, followed by a variety of other responses. I am pleased to say that Eco Northwest was not the most expensive. They weren't the cheapest, but they weren't the most expensive, but it does fit within our budget for the project. And this is our first step to really starting to update our code and really put together a strategy for dealing with affordable and attainable housing within the town. And we very much are looking forward to working with Eco Northwest. I think overall they understood the project. They have done work in the state before. We did contact one of their references, and had nothing but glowing responses in terms of the work that Eco Northwest did for them. And I had, excuse me, conversation with Eco Northwest themselves just to clarify a couple of items that we had in our RFQ, and a couple of the responses they included in their proposal. But our recommendation is to go ahead and enter into a professional services agreement with Eco Northwest. I'm not sure, they may have been on the line. If they wanted, I didn't see who all was attending, but they thought maybe they would be on tonight.
I don't see anyone that would indicate that they are from Eco Northwest.
Okay. But the recommendation is to go ahead and enter into the professional services agreement, which is substantially included, or it's included in your in the packet. We have this was the document that they provided us. We did make a change of venue on the choice of court. They had Oregon, and we're sticking with Colorado.
So the version in your packet, if you approve it with direction that the choice of law and the venue provisions be changed to Colorado, we will send that back over to the contracting party with those changes.
And how much was the grant that we received for it again?
Total project was $75,000.
Okay.
So we have a little cushion room for the inevitable change order or change of scope.
Okay.
That never happens.
Never happens in a government project.
I guess my question, and I don't know the answer to this, that's why it's a question, is why are we going about doing this study again when there have been several entities in this valley already do housing studies?
Part of the reason why we're doing the study for Silt specific is without a directed study related to the town of Silt, it impedes us from accessing some of the federal and state dollars that are available to assist in solving the housing issues that we have. And this is going to be specific to the town of Silt, which allows us then to get in and really make changes to our code to meet our needs and not something of a more global perspective that's just looking at it from a broad brush perspective.
Okay. And then I guess also the language in the resolution, where the third whereas, in July of 2023, the town filed a commitment over the course of 3 years, the town would create 26 affordable housing units.
This is, was done administratively, related to Prop 123, that was approved statewide a couple of years ago. Again, this was an effort that opened the door for us to be able to access the dollars that were available to undertake these types of efforts.
Yep. I guess, because my thing is, I am not ever going to be in favor of telling a developer what their return on investment should be by limiting what they can get back from using their dollars to build something. I don't think that's government's position to say you can build 4 houses, one of them needs to be affordable. If there's an affordable housing issue, I think it needs to be laid on the backs of the people that created the issue. So I'm going to vote no on this just because I don't think it's fair to say builders in this town are being obligated to somehow put 26 affordable housing units in this town.
There are this is not argumentative in any sense of the manner. There are many ways that we can look to assist in the development of affordable housing. One of the issues that we have currently in the town's code is our point system for getting a single-family home approved makes it virtually impossible to develop housing on some of the small lots we have, and that makes it even harder if you're trying to create an affordable house. So there are some impediments that are embedded in our code currently, and this is a step in the process of maybe correcting some of those impediments without necessarily being in a position where we're saying 10% of the houses that you build have to be X.
This will be policy.
So there are other ways to kind of attack the problem that perhaps doesn't get to your concern about us dictating the profit margins of a developer.
Well, we don't have an inclusionary housing component to the code. There's nothing, staff might try to, highly recommend that there be some affordable housing mix in the form of size or, of the lot or of the house. But we don't have those provisions in the code. At the end of the day, when you evaluate a subdivision, it does not include criteria for ensuring a certain amount of the units are affordable.
I just feel like the language in this says that we as a town are going to do whatever we can to make sure that we have those 26 affordable units in the next 3 years.
And I guess to clarify that means we would create 26. If we didn't do the 26 affordable housing, that just says, I'm trying to remember this whole, because I remember voting no on this whole ballot issue and discussing it at one time, and I thought if the town creates the 26, then we can apply for funding or grants to help with those things, but we don't have to do 26. So if we don't do any at all,
correct,
we just can't apply for certain grants and funding.
Our goal to have access to those grants is to undertake the housing needs assessment and then work towards those 26. That opens the door for a lot of other funding that is out there to assist with affordable housing. This is, I've done personally done educational sessions on affordable housing, and one of the biggest impediments to affordable housing is self-created by government. Whether it's the energy code, whether it's the building code, whether it's our specific zoning code or our rules and regulations, whether it's our tap fees, everything that we do as government in the global government causes the cost of housing to go up. So government has helped manufacture a housing crisis, and now government's trying to fix it. And
here we are.
And here we are, having this discussion of trying to fix a problem that globally government has had a hand in creating.
How, this amount of money, what time period does that cover? I mean, how long is that for, the money we're paying them?
It's anticipated that the work that they're going to do for the housing needs assessment is going to take about 6 months.
So that's that 67,640.
Correct. And that includes actually doing the inventory of the housing, evaluating the housing, what's the need for housing, and then helping us, advising us on what specific code changes we should contemplate. And if you recall, we created the Strategic Planning Code Committee for the purpose of doing some of the lifting as we get to the point where we're going to be looking at the housing code, housing and zoning.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'll vote for this, but I am in agreement with the mayor, in terms of, government shouldn't really be, subsidizing this. It should be, basically employers and that sort of thing. Basically, yeah, the people that are creating the need here should be footing the bill, and it's amazing how many times it just always turns to government. You'll fix it. You'll fix it. You'll fix it. But like you just said, the government created this problem, and now they're trying to fix it. So,
I will say the government had a hand in creating the problem.
Yes.
You can't put it all on.
You said the government had a hand in it. Yeah, I just want to clarify that. Not the
But I
full
don't think
thing,
this
but-
study mandates one outcome. I don't think it says in and of itself. It could be interpreted that way, and we should certainly be cautious and deliberate about interpreting the results. But this is talking about process. I don't think it's mandating any specific outcome beyond what's already been decided with the 26 and the 9. It's not saying that that has to come on the backs of developers. It's not proclaiming outcomes. It's really a process-oriented step. And then we'll get it, and then I'm sure we'll have vigorous discussion about what to do with it.
And the fact that it's specific to Silt's important because Silt is definitely unique versus Glenwood Springs or Carbondale or any other places that have had you don't want to take a cookie cutter approach to their studies because their studies are for their towns with their mix, their things. Silt's its own little gem, and so having it specific to Silt will give us more information to make better choices and actions for our community.
I think this feedback is valuable because, as part of this study, I would assume there's going to be recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
And by being able to upfront tell the consultants that, a mandated affordable or inclusionary housing program is not likely going to get votes to pass, they can focus their attention on other implementation methodologies.
I think sometimes those things get used because that's the easy lift. And we want them to be a little more creative.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of looking over codes, but, just like the state forced this board to adopt new energy codes that just raise the cost of building by 5 to 10%. And now, okay, so you're forced to adopt this code.
Those pools of funds are available, Mr. Mayor, already. So the way I'm understanding is, one, we are taking steps, and then two, there are those funds that are assigned, but then there are different requirements in order to access those funds. So those decisions have already made is under Prop 123, like how those funds can be assessed. And those are stepping up processes that as a town, we would take step by step, and then we would define which policies we would be adhering to in order to access certain types of funds. That's how I understand. And therefore, if some of the requirements is not in alignment for us as a decision, then we'll just not adopt that policy. So the way that I'm understanding that Manager Mann is presenting that to us is, hey, we have a possible issue. There are some potential solutions out there. This is step number one, to adopt the special need analysis, to think about the age of the population and like very specific to us. And then from that point, if those funds can be beneficial in a way of adopting policy, then we can use that. We're not saying it's going to be a specific one. If this contractor, and we unfortunately, if the decision has been already made, the funds are available, why shouldn't our taxpayers be able to utilize the benefit of it? That's my take.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't ignore this problem, because it's just going to get worse.
So if they don't get it done in 6 months, do we have to enter another 68,000, or how does that?
No, that's just the projected
That's
time it's going
projected,
to take.
so it could, if it took them 9 months, it's still,
Yes.
that's a set fee till they get pretty much done.
Right, and they.
Okay, I just want to clarify that, because you
There-
said 6, I just
Yeah.
want to
There's-
clarify and make sure we're not, in 6 months, have to enter another fee.
No.
Okay,
Their projected timeline in their proposal specifically has them done in January 2025.
and if it runs past that,
If it
that's
runs
their,
past that, unless we've made them change the scope of the contract, it's still the same price.
okay.
Right.
Okay, I just want to clarify, because you had said 6, and I just want to make sure we don't.
When we put the RFQ out there, we asked for some specific timelines to get the work done, because we also don't want a project that's just going to languish and take too long.
Right, that's what I
And
was
Jim,
getting at.
did you say that it's a fixed price contract?
Yes.
So, but I mean, this is the,
If you, just to clarify the question.
Of course, sir.
From the attorneys, the back end of the contract has several sections that would be
T&M.
deleted,
Oh, that would be deleted.
that would be
Okay.
deleted based on a fixed price contract.
Okay, that would be another part of the motion, is that this is a fixed price contract, and to delete any provisions that relate to T&M.
Because on the screen right now, you can see
Yeah.
delete if fixed fee.
Okay. And the other part of a motion is the choice of law and venue provisions, because they're an Oregon company, say Oregon, and they need to be changed to Colorado.
so I was just gonna say, I mean, this the idea is to just get a ton of information and insight to us, right? To help us make decisions.
Correct.
So then it's not forcing them or anyone to build anything there, and they could even help us sort of, or give us recommendations as to whether pursuing those funds would be worthwhile, or,
I don't know that they're gonna be our grant consultant on
Right,
this,
okay.
but in order to access that grant environment, I have yet to see a housing grant that doesn't require you to first have done a housing needs analysis.
like getting an estimate before you
Right.
get the, right, okay.
Because the way those grant funds work is unless you know what it is you need,
From someone who knows how to figure that out,
we're not really interested in giving you money.
right?
It's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
In some ways, if we want access to those funds in the future, we need to do this study now.
Yes.
And it sounds informative, like really informative, like it would be.
And, there are many things that we're going to have to discuss as a body when we start looking at our housing and our zoning code that, I mean, Director Centeno and me have had many conversations about multi-generational housing and parking. The number of bedrooms and how much parking do you have? Because you can go to certain areas and you'll see 6 cars in front of a house. And that's, multifamily or multi-generational that are living in that house. And we need to kind of start thinking about what's going to be our best zoning to try to address some of those concerns that are happening, because we do see more cohabitation situations now than we've seen in the past. And right now, many of the driveways in town, there's hardly enough room to park one vehicle between the garage door and the sidewalk.
Yeah, now the front yards are full of cars too. I've
And
seen
we don't
that.
necessarily want front yards full of cars. And so there's a number of things that are going to come out of the study and our look at the zoning code that are going to hopefully make, improve the town.
I think it's a step in the right direction.
I agree.
I see it as similar to the traffic report that we had the other day. It was thorough and it helps us make decisions about where our problem areas are, and I'm for it, I think.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion, or would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution, we are on resolution 28, correct?
Yes.
Series 2024, with the choice of law venue position change to Colorado, and also narrowing this fixed price to project. An ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, a resolution of the Board of Trustees approving an agreement for professional services with Eco Northwest for the town of Silt, Colorado.
I'll second.
Motion by Trustee Poston to approve Resolution Number 28, Series 2024, with the choice of law being changed to Colorado, and it being a fixed-price contract for the whole project. A resolution of the Board of Trustees approving the agreement for professional services with Eco Northwest for the town of Silt, Colorado. That was seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hanrahan. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Nay. Motion passes 6-1. Next up is the second reading of ordinance number 9, series 2024, an ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, repealing and replacing chapter 12.20 of the Silt Municipal Code pertaining to Skyline Cemetery. And I will turn this over to Town Clerk McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You saw this at the last meeting, and we did not make any changes since first reading, and staff would recommend approval.
Okay.
Sheila, didn't we make one change to this?
Not to the cemetery one, Mike. We did make a suggested change to the next ordinance coming up on the skate park hours.
There was a suggestion about OHV vehicles.
Oh, and we talked with, and perhaps Chief Kite can weigh in on this, and I think Mike, even Attorney Sawyer weighed in that we could just sign it, that OH vehicles would not be allowed beyond this point to address the mayor's concerns on that it wasn't necessary to be written in the code itself.
That was the one suggestion from the last meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion by the board before I open up the public hearing?
Now, I just had one quick question. At one of our meetings, we discussed the possibility of maybe acquiring more land up there. Has anybody?
I need to still get a hold of
Okay.
Bear Ranch to see if they're even interested. Someday they will be, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That was going to be a topic of mine during budget discussions, to start looking into the future, because we are starting to fill up, and we need to start being a little proactive and think about what our next step is going to be.
Okay.
Okay. All right. The time is in 7:46 PM, and I will open up the public hearing for ordinance number 9, series 2024. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program, or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item.
No, sir, I did not hear from anyone.
I do not show any raised hands.
Thank you very much. And we have no members of the public in the chambers with us, so. The time is 7:46 PM, and I will close the public hearing and open up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 9, series 2024, as presented.
Second.
All right. Motion by trustee Britnall to approve the second reading of ordinance number 9, series 2024 as presented. That was seconded by trustee Seifert. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Certainly. Trustee Seifert?
Aye.
Trustee Poston?
Aye.
Trustee Engelhardt?
Aye.
Trustee Klassen?
Aye.
Trustee Britnall?
Aye.
Pro Tem Hanrahan?
Aye.
Mayor Reichel?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Then next up, we have the second reading of ordinance number 10, series 2024, an ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, amending sections of chapter 6.04, 6.08, and chapter 8.24 of the Silt Municipal Code regarding dogs in the park and hours of operation related to the skate park within the town of Silt, Garfield County, state of Colorado. And I will turn this back over to Town Clerk McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there haven't been any changes other than last meeting we talked about changing the hours for the skate park, the time that it would be opened and closed. Staff has had further discussions since the last meeting, and we would recommend that we pull just this section from this ordinance because we're realizing that this adjustment affects other parts of the code. And after talking with Manager Mann, we decided maybe it might be best to take this back to the Park and Recreation Subcommittee to discuss in more depth and then bring back at a later date. Because we're finding that part of this, if we change the hours, then it kind of affects the code that talks about curfews for minors. And I believe there's a couple other sections that was affecting as well. So we want to make sure that we are doing a sound code change when we make this one adjustment.
So would we have like a separate code, just an entirely separate code pertaining to skate parks, and then just this one would just be about dogs?
Oh, correct. Yeah, we were just addressing this one because the code or this ordinance itself was kind of a rounded ordinance to address all the parks, whether it was dogs or time. So we just decided that now that we're seeing some of the conflicts that this could create, that we'll just take this section out, strictly address the dogs in parks at this time.
Okay. I was going to suggest additional changes to this language that I'm looking at with the skate park. So if it's stricken, then I'm agreeable to that.
Yeah, staff would recommend that you approve the ordinance with the removal of section 8.24.100, please.
Okay.
So it would be a elimination of section 4 from the ordinance.
And it would amend the title to take out the part that says skate parks, I assume.
Correct. Yeah, that would take place.
So whoever makes a motion will need to add that language to remove section 4 from the second reading.
Yeah. All right.
But if there any further discussion by the board, this is a public hearing. So.
No, I had a couple of, or not really questions, but out of curiosity, what is the fine for dog waste?
Yes. We have a fine.
Keith, do you know offhand
I was just
at the top of your head?
I was just curious, just so people at home hear what it is.
Give me just a minute and I'll try to find it here in the.
Yeah. And then my thought was, because dogs in parks, on the trail, to have more signage out there stating that. you know, and if we could have the signage in English and Spanish, just so everybody knows what it is. And like Veterans Park, there's two conflicting signs, because the sign on the north side says dogs not allowed. The sign on the south side says dogs not allowed off the path with the leash. So if we could, you know, clean that up, just to eliminate, you know, people, you know, pointing fingers and stuff like that.
The penalty assessment for removal of animal waste is $50 plus costs and fees, so it's a $74 ticket.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And then, I don't know if we want to go to this step, it's just a suggestion, you know, maybe in some of the more, you know, the more popular parks, maybe have some dog waste bags, I don't know. You know, maybe it's discussion for a later date, but it was just a thought.
To that point, if we ever are allowed to move forward with one of our grant awards this year for wayfinding signs, that grant also included the procurement of additional dog waste stations to be placed.
Okay, nice.
So we are working towards that as a means to make sure people are picking up after the dogs. They should be doing it anyway.
Yes.
But obviously, the waste stations are a benefit because it keeps people's eyes on it.
Yes, and I was going to say, it's disheartening to me because I want to allow people to walk their dogs on the paths and everything, but it's disheartening to me because we had a heyday meeting in the park, and these people walked by us with the dog did their thing, and they just kept walking. So it drives me nuts that the few people have to ruin it for the many. But
and we still had to clean up the park Saturday morning before we could have heyday because of the dog waste.
Because I went out there with the shovel and got that on Saturday morning. So I like I said, I'm still for allowing dogs on leashes in parks, but you got to clean up after them. But it
on the trail.
Yes, on the trail. But it just drives me nuts that people, you know, the few people have to ruin it for the many.
Yes.
Those people deserve a ticket. Their $74 ticket.
Exactly. So then that's why I was asking. Yeah.
Is it not confusing, going back to your comment a moment ago about the signage on either end of the park, to say dogs are only allowed on the trail next to the park, but then to have a bunch of dog waste stations? Isn't there a possibility that people see that and go, oh, dogs must be allowed here?
Right. It encourages them to go ahead and have bad behavior.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. No, I mean, I see your point, but
I'm okay with having them around town, but like putting it right at the edge of Veterans Park, to me, is going to just, I must be allowed to have dogs here because there's a dog waste station.
Well, I was just trying to, you know, encourage the people that just let their dog do their thing. Go, oh, look, there's a sign here. There's a bag right here. Maybe, you know, I'm trying to encourage people to actually do the right thing and pick it up.
That's optimistic.
Yeah, but optimistic. But anyway, that's the thought.
There's 2 dog waste stations at the dog park in Silt, and multiple people do not use those.
Oh, and that's true. And yes, and it does go to that. But you know, and I was actually there at the dog park tonight, and there was some lady who was picking up stuff that wasn't hers.
Well,
so I applaud that.
I try, when I walk my dogs, I grab about 6 bags. My dogs use 1, and the other 5 are for the other 5 piles I find throughout that are close to the trail that I pick up as I go, just because that's how I was raised.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not one to, you know, go around calling people in for every little thing, but if we maybe, you know, lock down on enforcement a little bit, and it got around that they really are giving out $74 tickets every time people don't pick up after their dogs, that might, or maybe the signs on the dog station says, please pick up after your dog. If you don't, you could get this amount
or
of,
something
you know,
like
there's
that.
a fine.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we just need to do. I'm not, you know, faulting anybody, but maybe we just need to do a little more education on it as well.
Awareness.
That's good. Any other comments?
I'm in favor of the educational piece, but in the newsletter reminders and wherever we are reaching out to the community, I'm in favor of educational and reminders. I think that's helpful. Positive. I'm more for positive reinforcement than, I think if we can create that energy and we could potentially see some results out of that as well.
Okay.
Campaigns or something.
Something, yeah.
Start there.
Okay. This is a public hearing, so the time is 7:56 PM, and I'll open up the public hearing. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, sir.
I do not show any raised hands.
Thank you. And we still have no members of the public in the chambers with us. So the time is 7:57, and I will close the public hearing. Just a reminder to whoever makes the motion that we need to remove section 4 from the second reading. So any other discussion, or would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 10, series 2024, an ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, amending section of chapter 6.04, 6.08 of the Silt Municipal Code regarding dogs in parks. Does that cover it?
Yeah.
Removing section 4.
Removing section 4.
Wasn't that related to the skateboard
Oh, I
stuff?
just didn't say.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Sufficed.
I will second.
All right. So a motion by trustee Clausen to approve the second reading of ordinance number 10, series 2024, an ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, amending sections of the chapter 6.04, 6.08, removing section 4 of the Silt Municipal Code regarding dogs in the park and hours of operation related to the skate park within the town of Silt, Garfield County, state of Colorado. That was seconded by trustee Hanrahan. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Seifert?
Aye.
Trustee Poston?
Aye.
Trustee Engelhardt?
Aye.
Trustee Klassen?
Aye.
Trustee Brittenell?
Aye.
Pro Tem Hanrahan?
Aye.
Mayor Reichel?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next up, manager and staff reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will emphasize that I'm looking for a couple of volunteers to serve on the CML Policy Committee. I will be happy to serve on the Policy Committee, but policy is more in the purview of the elected officials than it is your manager. One of the reasons that I am encouraging you to step forward is that we complain about the western slope not necessarily being well represented, or outstate Colorado not being well represented on legislation that gets approved. I think we've all probably had conversations about, the Front Range is dictating policy across the state. I can tell you that the CML Policy Committee is rather poorly represented from the Roaring Fork Valley all the way down to Glenwood Springs. If I recall correctly, Aspen, Glenwood Springs, Parachute, and Grand Junction are the only municipalities along that corridor that are part of the Policy Committee. That leaves out Carbondale, Basalt, Newcastle, Silt, Rifle, Debec, etc. There are 5 meetings that the Policy Committee holds. They start October 11th. I did clarify today with Kevin Bommer, who is the executive director, that you can attend all of them virtually, so you don't necessarily have to make the commitment to drive over to Denver to be in person for the 3 that are actual in-person meetings. They run from 9 a.m. to noon, so it is a 3-hour commitment those days. The town can have 1 member and an alternate, but we can only have 1 person vote on at any set of policy meetings.
I'll volunteer. I don't care.
I'll volunteer also.
Anybody else wants it?
I would too. We talked
Sounds like
about
we
it
have too.
offline, and
Or
I
three.
have the luxury of working remotely, so it actually benefits me to go to Denver because that's where my company's COO is. So I can actually get a twofer and hang out with her face to face. But
If you want it, go ahead.
I think decisions are made by the people in the room, and the more rooms we can get in, the bigger role we can have in participating in these policies that are defining our community's future.
You guys have to decide who's going to be on the committee. I can't make that decision for you.
I think would you be able to attend in person, or would you? do
No,
most of
only
your-
virtual. That
I
was
think
gonna be
then
my
that-
question, yeah.
I would nominate Derek to be the primary, with Trustee Engelhardt being the alternate. So if you weren't able to attend, she could attend remotely. But I think the importance of being able to be there in the room is definitely helpful.
And he's more experienced on the board than I am as well, I think. Well,
In public, really?
Yeah. Was that a motion?
Yes,
I'll second.
those are nominations,
Or
actually.
nomination.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll still second.
Okay. Well, we have a motion to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Hanrahan to the CML Policy Committee. Anyone like to second that motion?
Chris said that you would.
So you made, no, he made the
I
motion.
made
I'll second,
I made the
yes.
nomination.
You made
I'll
the nomination.
second, yes.
You seconded, yes.
All right. So we have a motion by Trustee Brittenall to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Hanrahan to the CML Policy Committee, seconded by Trustee Clausen.
With Trustee Engelhardt being the alternate.
Trustee Engelhardt being our alternate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I vote for myself?
You can.
I was like.
All right.
You can also vote against yourself if you
Yourself.
want to.
I could recuse myself.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations and thank you.
Yes, thank you guys both for volunteering.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess
We can coordinate.
just let me know if, and hopefully it's okay if I say this, I saw an email where they're having call it a continuing legal education, but it's some kind of educational seminar, they're coming to Glenwood, the
Okay.
CML, and so I signed up for it.
Okay.
I saw that too. I haven't been able to sign up yet. I
With
gotta
my job, I see,
figure out my schedule.
I just sign up for those things, it's like, because, it's a habit.
And we can both attend if it's virtual, correct?
Yes,
You
but
can
only
attend-
one of
only
you
one
can
person
vote.
can vote.
Right, but it may
Yeah.
be beneficial to
Yeah.
have
Okay,
Yes.
Two
us
sets
both
of
there,
ears
and then
on
we
it.
can be communicating perhaps via another channel to see where we
Just don't
think
include anybody else, because then you're going to
Right.
run afoul of
and it's
ethics
an open
training.
Then-
meeting, yeah.
we're gonna get
We're in
beat.
trouble.
Yeah.
I regret to inform you that the State Department of Transportation, otherwise known as CDOT, informed us late last week that they have denied our request to put a crosswalk at Lyons and Main Street. They view the width of pavement and the speed limit too great to put a crosswalk there. So we have a couple of options that we can consider, some of which would cost a fortune, others not so much. And one doesn't cost us anything at all, but it doesn't guarantee that we'll ever get a crosswalk. You could, for no real cost, start lobbying CDOT to put the crosswalk in. That may include talking to our House District representatives. Another option would be you could build another pedestrian bridge, which would be at great cost, which
No.
I don't know. These are all, spitballing options that staff came up with. We could move the crosswalk to perhaps 16th Street.
I was just gonna say, I know it's not ideal because it would cause people to walk a couple extra blocks, but
And
it'd be
then-
much safer.
Then we would then we would need to install sidewalk from 16th Street to Lyons on the south side of the
South
street.
side.
We were going to put a roundabout there, remember? 16th Street?
I never said that.
Yeah. You're,
We could also build a roundabout. But these are the options that we basically have, and I think, some cost more than others, obviously. I think from the perspective of those that are traveling into the trade center from the north side of the street, ideally that crosswalk is located at Lyons. There is some barriers for us to doing that. That the cheapest solution is for us to just continue to lobby CDOT. I'm not sure that will, generate a positive outcome, but it's something we can do, and it doesn't cost us anything. The next would be to start considering whether the 16th Street option is an acceptable option for us to pursue.
Now, would it have to be at 16th Street, or could we go, where does the street widen at?
Just past Master Petroleum.
Because if we do that, I mean, that cuts about a block off of the wall. I mean, I'm just saying, if we're gonna do it there versus there, it may.
I doubt CDOT would approve a mid-block crosswalk.
It was just a thought, just
Yeah.
because it would save people walking, so it'd be more likely to use it, and it would save some
We
sidewalk.
can certainly request it.
But then we still gotta put sidewalk in.
Oh, it would save some sidewalk, though.
Yeah.
Doesn't 16th Street make some sense because that's.
It would make sense because of the
The tunnel.
pedestrian, the under bridge that's already
Underpass,
there,
yeah.
underpass that's already there, and some of that, yes.
And you're at somewhat of a
Yeah.
crest of a hill.
Yep.
Yeah, it should have one, regardless, we should have, one at Lyons and 16th, but one's better than none.
I know everyone's gonna hate this question, but what is you said something about the speed limit being too high?
We could also look towards the CDOT to try to lower the speed limit. Again, I think that we're going to have limited chance of that occurring because of traffic movements and the number of driveways. It really, in my experience, lower than 35 mile an hour in that
35 miles an
section.
hour in that section already.
Probably
They
not
won't
going
let
to
us
be
put Main
reduced.
Street, they won't let us put Main Street slower than 35, so I don't think that they'll reduce that area.
Right.
Well, then we still need to get 20 Main Street to 30.
Well,
Get
that's what I'm
that
saying. is if they
portion
won't-
reduced,
But if they
then they'll.
won't reduce Main Street, they sure as heck
Yeah.
aren't gonna reduce out there.
Well, we haven't approached them.
Oh, I thought we had approached them on that
Yeah.
before. I thought we had in the past at
You
least.
may have in the past, but
But that's
we
a
will
step. Get one
continue to
section.
And once we
approach them.
get that section, then we could possibly do that, yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess right now it's sort of it was on the outskirts, and now that section of road is becoming more and more in town
Yes.
as it grows. So I don't know.
So that was some unfortunate news, but we'll continue to work on a solution for crossing people across Main Street.
It's
at
all
that
related to the speed limit, right?
Yeah.
Well, and with.
And the width of pavement there, because
Yeah.
you've got the deceleration and the turn lanes and the through lanes, which makes it difficult for somebody to be able to cross the entire
Basically 5
pavement.
lanes of traffic.
But I like the idea. Whoever, maybe it was the town engineer. Somebody had the idea of make it like downtown here, where you just have a turn lane in the center.
Yeah.
To try to narrow that down some.
They did not seem overly interested in their response to our engineer.
Okay.
Last thing I'll report on, and speaking of thinking outside the box and working on the housing problem, the West Mountain Regional Housing Coalition secured a little over $1.5 million funding to buy down property values in exchange for a deed restriction that the property can only increase 3% a year. They will buy down up to 30% of the purchase price of a home up to $1.5 million. That would blow off that $1.5 million funding that they have pretty quickly. The only requirement is that you have to be working for a full-time employer, principally or physically based in Pitkin, Eagle, or Garfield counties to be eligible. The Housing Coalition is made up of Pitkin, Aspen, Snowmass, Basalt, Carbondale, Glenwood Springs, Eagle County, Colorado Mountain College, Roaring Fork. It is not clear whether it applies to anybody outside those jurisdictions. So that's a clarification that I would have to make. But again, this is something that would is looking outside the box. This is funded through a variety of sources as a means to bring that cost of housing down. That's all I would report on. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Tim, did you want to remind them of the HR subcommittee meeting?
Oh, yeah, okay, now Sheila's making me talk more, because then I have one other thing to remind you of as well. Next week, we have the Park Recreation and Culture Committee on Monday evening, and the HR Subcommittee on Tuesday evening. The Park Recreation Culture is 5:30 p.m., and the HR Subcommittee is at 5 p.m. And then Wednesday night, I'll be meeting with the Conservation Water Board to talk about a variety of issues. And then just a reminder that on August 26th, the first part of the work session, Representative Velasco will be here to have a conversation with the board.
So
And
20th for the HR
yes,
at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. And Representative Velasco will be here at 4 o'clock. We're going to tour the water plant, High Water Farms, and Silt River Preserve. And now, unless Sheila tells me I have to talk about something else, I'll be done.
No, you're good. You can go home.
There you go.
Unless Amy's going to tell me I have to talk about something.
She's waiting.
So it'll be a great opportunity to mention to Representative Velasco what we just discussed about the crosswalk.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
might tie that one in and mention it in person and express how important it is to the people that live in Silt. In person. Eye to eye.
Okay. Any other?
I had a quick question for Sheila. The dog ordinance, when you mentioned off-highway vehicles to do with cars, could you explain that? I didn't quite.
That was related to the cemetery ordinance.
That was the cemetery. What we'll do is we'll post a sign at the bottom of the hill there when you
allow them up
exit
there.
7th
Okay,
Street,
okay.
saying that OHVs are prohibited on that road.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't, no. That's what I'm asking.
No, that's fine.
I wasn't paying attention there. Anyway, thank you.
I have a
You're welcome.
request, not a question. At the next trustees meeting, can you plan to give us an update on the status of the municipal broadband, where that's at, next steps?
Okay.
Seriously. You read my notes. That was,
Sorry. You showed them to me.
our minds are synchronized or something.
I didn't cheat, you showed it.
No
to me.
comments.
You showed me the answer.
I just have one question for Public Works Director. Since the 7th Street Board project took, they had to dig by hand for a lot of that, and now we're waiting on Union Pacific, I assume.
Yes.
Is that project going over budget?
No, it is not. It is on budget
Still on
as we
budget.
speak, and I talked to the contractor yesterday. He's thinking in 3 weeks, he should have all the flaggers lined up and him back moved in to the on-ramp, bore pit dug, and he's thinking that it should take a week to get under the railroad, so
Okay.
we'll save some money there.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else for staff? All right.
Any update on the drainage on Ballard Avenue?
Yes, it is close to being engineered, and I'm hoping to get that started. The engineer is working on the Grand Avenue FMLD grant, so I can get numbers on that, and as soon as he's done with that, he'll finish up on
Oh, okay.
and hopefully we'll get that started this year.
All right, nice. And update on Home Avenue?
Home Avenue, they've started doing they've almost done with the curb and gutter. They'll start sidewalk tomorrow on the west end. And then if their contract's signed, they'll put in that water, sewer, and irrigation. And then I'm hoping within 2 months it'll be done.
Nice. All right, thank you.
And then Centeno, anything on the storage units? Because they're advertising that they have storage units available to rent.
They will be in front of you all August 26th with an application to request out-of-town taps.
Okay.
let's, you and I communicate about you. I know you've sent me an email about that, but let's make sure we catch up in advance of that board meeting.
Okay. Then updates from the board and board comments. Start with trustee Poston, just so Derek can't take any more of yours.
Vilified.
Yes, just during the heydays, merchants, they were wanting better internet services to process card services. That's what the feedback came from, to talk about where we are in the update for broadband internet service, cell phone service, and all of that. And that's basically what I had. I do want to acknowledge that I read through great works update on the report, very detailed, so thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. I love all of your updates on what's been going on the work side of things. That was nice to see it on the package. And that's all I have.
It's my turn. I would like to say a great string of concerts in Silt lately, and we had a great time at Heydays, and I hope that we can have a rain check for the queen bees because of the monsoon that came in and rained them out at the end of Heydays. And sorry for everyone who had to flee, but it was great.
Well, apparently they want to come back again next year is what they told us the other night.
I was thinking maybe before the end of the summer, but next year should be fine. No, they were great, and it was fun. That was all.
I'd just like to thank everybody that did all the work towards Heydays. Just a quick rundown on a couple of the events that we had with the horseshoe tournament. We had 24 individuals competing with 12 teams. The champions were Burley Taylor and Eddie McNeil. And Burley also got a special trophy for the most number of six-packs or double ringers during the tournament. And she was probably like 5 or 6 ahead of the next person closest. So she was pretty dominant as usual. And then for the cornhole tournament that was down in the park, we had 26 individuals or 13 teams. And the champions for that were Mike Higginbotham and Pete DeMarco. And we, between the two tournaments, a donation of $370 was made to the historic park as well. Through those, because the individuals, big portion of the entry fees go straight to the park.
All right. Good.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on Trustee Britnell's comments, we had a great heyday. We had a great turnout. Unfortunately, it rained toward the end, but I just wanted to, thank all the town staff that helped out, and especially Public Works for manicuring the park so nice, and then the Public Works guys helped set up the stage, which is it's old and it's not the smoothest thing to set up, but I wanted to thank them for helping set the thing up, and then the on-call guy for helping us put it away tomorrow. And so, yeah.
I will let them know.
All right. And unfortunately, we had a food vendor, at the last second couldn't make it at Heyday. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Culver's because they heard about it and they jumped right in and said, hey, how can we help? And, we'd like to do that. So that was really nice of them to do that. And that's all I had, other than I had one question that I forgot to ask Public Works Director Lundeen. The crosswalk at the roundabout, you said the lights were missing on half of it?
I'm in the process of getting a permit to put up all new crosswalk lights at the roundabout.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping CDOT will replace all the existing poles, or at least the ones that are missing. Then once they do that, we'll replace all the lights, so all 4 crosswalks will have lighted crosswalk signs.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
All right.
That's everything I have.
Trustee Seifert.
I guess nothing, everything's been covered.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll join the chorus of people saying thank you to Nicole and to Public Works and Peggy, all the volunteers that put on all these great events all summer. And I'm looking forward to Peggy's report in a month or so about the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that we can continue evolving not just our events, but our methods to make them better events. They don't happen by themselves. And I think getting the negative is as important as getting the positive back, so we can continue to support those things and help them grow. What did we have, 700 people at the last concert up at Pavilion Park? Was it 600? 650?
The last thing said 815, but there was 815 people.
815. So that's a significant increase from last year, and we can anticipate it continuing. Again, just thinking strategically about making sure that Nicole and Public Works and Joe and his team have the resources they need to help pull these great events off. That's it.
Okay. If anyone is listening, school started today. Slow down, stop, look left, look right, kids everywhere. Don't pass school buses, should be common sense, but evidently it's not. So watch out for those kids. And then we have another party at the Pavilion this Friday.
September 6th.
Okay. I don't know what list is here then, because we got August 16th on the packet.
So Marcella accidentally put the wrong event calendar
Okay.
in the newsletter.
In the newsletter, okay.
Yeah, and so I think she sent out an amended or a corrected newsletter.
Okay.
That just must have ended up in the
I was thinking
packet.
we just had one, so.
Yes, it's September 6th. It's an ACDC tribute.
Okay.
That is
Not-
a national.
Not
Not the all-female tribute from
Hell's Bells. It's not Hell's Bells.
Not Hell's
Not
Bells.
Hell's Bells, no. But they're a national tribute band, and they are flying here from Pennsylvania.
All right. Cool. Nice. Hopefully, maybe we can get 900 at the next one.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, okay. All right.
Word out.
Other than that, I've got nothing else, so unless Chief Kite came in to mention anything? Nope, okay. Then the next item on this agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by trustee Poston to adjourn the meeting, seconded by trustee Brittenall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Favorite motion.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight.
9 minutes ahead.
Everybody.